Hi, friends. How are you? Welcome to La Fama Bleu. Thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe. If you like, that's great. Let me know. If there are other things that you would like me to share, I'm here as an open book to share pretty much my journey throughout my divorce, my relationship, my starting my family, and so forth. So, pretty much you're going to hear it all. And some stories might be repetitive because sometimes I gotta go back and give you the backstory so that you understand where we are today. But next week is my court date with my husband, my ex husband, and in terms of support, that financial support that he's looking for. I'm not sure how it's going to turn out. I'm not sure what he'll be awarded, considering I'm not making all the money I used to make before when we were married, or as much as I used to make. But we'll see what the court decides. Ultimately, I'm hoping that they look at his financials and reward us, me, and our son, what is due to us, since he hasn't paid a dime since our son was born. Anyway, that's the story here. What I want to share today. So definitely keep me in your prayers. I'm praying that everything goes well next week. I'll let you know, of course, what the turnout is, but I'm believing for a good outcome, and I'm being optimistic as well, so that this does not impact me health wise. I did see my cardiologist a couple of days ago. There are more tests that I need to get done, and simply because I had some minor pains here and there, and we're trying to figure out what those pains are. And I'm thinking that they are all stress related. Because if I didn't have to deal with this man, I probably would feel a lot better, because I would be thinking about all the stuff that he's done and all the stuff that he's still doing. But anyway, he's petty, and I'm praying that God will get back at him for all the stuff that he's done, because karma does come back around. And all the accusations and false statements, I'm believing that all those things will come back to bite him and haunt him. That's what I'm believing for. Because at the end of the day, he needs to pay for what he's done. And only God can do that. So, what I wanted to share today, I had a conversation with my sister in law the other day, my brother's wife. And so we've had great relationships over the years, and I'm always bouncing my ideas to her and to get her opinion. So I really appreciate her altogether. And so we were talking about a project that I'm working on, and so she was giving me her feedback. And one of the things that I shared with her, and I said, there are things that I realized throughout the marriage that if I had known those things, and of course, I'm sure a lot of people might have the same story, I would have never married this man. I probably would have never even dated him. I would have never looked his way, or I would have never said hello, even when he did say hello. There was one time I completely ignored him because I knew that I did not want to be in a relationship with him. And a lot of times, depending on the guy, I mean, some men I'm great friends with, but with him, I don't know. I think there was something that was not completely clicking in the beginning, and I just did not pay a lot of attention to it. But anyway, what happened was, once we got married, right? And I think I've shared some of the story before, that I had shared something with him, and he ended up sharing it with his aunt or with his family. And when I confronted him about it in front of his family, I said, "Oh," I said, "why did you have to share that? I thought, this was between us, because he confirmed that it was going to be between us. He was not going to share it with anyone else. So I had his word, right? That's the only thing I could go by." And so his aunt at the time said, "Oh, he can't keep any secrets. You don't know that?" I'm like, "No, I don't know that. Do you think I would have said I do if I did know that? You got to be kidding me. A man who can't keep a secret or can't keep his personal life, just between him and his wife. Why would I want to be in a relationship like that? That's not how I grew up. My parents are best friends till this day, and my dad protects my mom at all times. Doesn't matter what we do. It's like the majority of the time, I have to go to him and be like, "Dad, she was wrong, right? Can you back me up a little bit, please?" But he always puts my mom's interest first, because she's kind of sensitive at times, and he always protects her emotions. So a lot of times he'll say, "You need to go to your mom and apologize." And I'm like, "Okay, I'll apologize. If it's going to make her feel better, why not? I know I wasn't wrong, but okay, fine, I'll apologize." So after his aunt, going back to the story, after his aunt shared that, I was like, "Oh my goodness." So if I can't share certain things with him and trust that he's not going to share them with the outside world, then what do I have? Where is the relationship? Because that's the whole point of a relationship, where you can trust the individual. I have girlfriends that I would bet on my life that they would never betray me, because I know. And they could do the same with me. I would never, ever share anything that they tell me that is a secret. That's just the way it works. And I think I may have shared before on a previous video where I had a girlfriend of mine. We were much younger back then. I had a girlfriend of mine who had gotten pregnant while we were in college. And she told me, "Do not share it with anyone." She would come to the house, we would talk, we would hang out, do all these things. No one knew that she was expecting until, believe it or not, till she delivered. Because I gave her my word. And I was not going to go back on that. And so I remember the day my mom came back to me and said, "Oh, I heard that so-and-so had a child." I said, "Yeah. Yeah, she did. She had a daughter." She was like, "You didn't know?" I said, "Of course I knew." But she asked me not to share it, and that's what I did. And so that's the power of a friendship, and that's the power of your word. Once you give your word, it's golden. There's nothing else that you have that could be considered as a contract. It's your word. Even in the court of law, your word can be held as a contract, as an agreement. And so if you're in a relationship and you tell your spouse, "Hey, listen, don't share," you know what? They have to honor that. Otherwise, they should say, "You know what, honey, I'm not good at keeping secrets. I don't know if I can keep that to myself." Then that way I know if I'm sharing it with him, then I know it's probably an open book. Everyone else is going to know. So I'll limit what I share. But I didn't know that. And he did not tell me, that the potential of him sharing it with someone else was there. So, again, I'm digressing here. I'm going back to the story. So what I ended up saying to my sister-in-law, just to get to the point of the story here, is that when you are thinking of dating someone, date the family as well. Do not just date this individual. Date the family. Go to the family events. If create group events so that his friends and family can come over, and that way you can kind of interact and know some background stories before you say I do. It's important. So don't just date the individual, date their family members, date their friends. Find out what their stories are all about, as they were growing up. Maybe they dealt with certain trauma that you need to know beforehand before you actually say I do to this individual. So that's what I said to my sister-in-law, and she was like, oh, that's pretty good. Yeah, I never really thought of it that way. I said, yeah. I mean, ultimately, if I knew half of the stuff that I found out during the marriage, that man, I probably would have left the church so that I wouldn't cross paths with him. That would have been my course of action. That would have been the steps that I would have taken. There were several churches in the area. I didn't have to go to that specific church, but I didn't know half of the stuff. I was not gonna deal with someone who dealt with trauma from a church that was considered to be a cult. I mean, this was significant because I didn't find out until later on that all these issues that went on in the church were actually publicized on public television, that you could actually Google some of the, Google the church and find out some of the things that actually went on. So I was like, this is significant. I didn't know half of that stuff before, So for me to get myself into a situation like that, no, I would have never done it. That's just madness. That's just a prescription for disaster. So I'm saying all that to say I'm leaving you with this nugget. The takeaway is, if you're in a dating relationship, date the relatives, date the siblings, find out who's who. This person has got to have a family member or a friend that he's close with or she's close with. Find out who those people are. Connect with them somehow. You don't have to become their best friends. You don't have to call or reach out, but at least find a way for the two of you to connect with external members so that you know more than what they're telling you. All right, because they're always going to paint a good picture. They'll spend a year, 2 years dating you, and it's all a facade. But you don't want to get into a marriage and then find out half of the stuff you could have found doing your dating experience. All right, that's all I have to say, my friends. Take good care. Hope you have a great rest of your day. Thanks for tuning in. Until we meet again. Ciao.